If you're a manager looking to boost your coaching skills, this video is for you. I am exploring skill and will and how understanding these dimensions in coaching can help you coach with better results and get much stronger connection with your team. First, what do I mean by skill and will? The work was originated by Paul Hersey and Ken Blanchard in their work in the 1970s on situational leadership. Skill refers to the ability to do certain tasks, and will reflects motivation to do that task. It's critical to understand these dimensions and help you and your team member understand where they are so that they come up as you coach them with the most appropriate plan. So one of my observations when I'm running workshops with managers is that when we look at this, they're often very comfortable in skill, because it's about sharing expertise, isn't it? And helping people learn. And you have that expertise. They can be way less comfortable when it comes to talking about motivation, because that might uncover something that might feel quite uncomfortable. You don't know the answer to it. And therefore people can be reluctant because they don't want to offend and they don't want to pry. And yet motivation and uncovering the reasons for motivation is often the most significant thing you need to do to help them improve their performance. So it's important that it's not avoided. And that's where the skill will matrix can help you. Let's look at the matrix. So as you see, it breaks out into high skill, low skill, and then across the bottom, low will, high will. Now the top right, high skill, high will, you're going to love these people because they're already have skills and they have a great attitude. So they're going to be valuable members of your team. And when it comes to coaching, you're really looking at empowering them further, delegating and giving autonomy. So you don't want to be telling them all the answer to these people. They're going to be frustrated by that. Coaching here is coaching for the next level of performance, maybe the next role. If we were then to look at low skill, high will, now, again, these people are eager and keen to learn, and therefore they're a joy to coach and train, because there's nothing better than when somebody is really up for learning something new and they are proactive and they take what you say on board. It's a comfortable area to coach in. It's an enjoyable area to coach in. So next, let's move to high skill but low will. So this is the box that people often tell me they feel quite nervous about because they know there is something going on, an issue of motivation or maybe confidence. So in this box, people possess the skills to do the given task, but they do not have the motivation. You can have a high performer who just seems to lose their mojo. The reasons for it could be overwhelm, could be burnout, could be personal reasons. The key here is that you need empathy and a willingness to find out why, to understand why the person is not as motivated as they could be. Now, the bottom left, low skill, low will, means the person doesn't have the skills to do the role, but also does not have the will. And here, coaching may not be the best solution for you to use in that situation. You may need to be more directive. But the skills of coaching, asking questions to understand why, are still very important. But here, you're going to have to think about what is the appropriate course of action. Is this person able to learn the skills or able to lift their motivation? Or are they in the wrong role, or would they do better in another environmental role? And these can be difficult questions. The danger is managers know they have a problem and they just avoid it because it's in the difficult box. But I would really encourage you by at least finding out what the person thinks and moving to action on these people so you don't create problems in your team later. Knowing that, it is good to think about your team and where they are. Now remember, this isn't them as an individual as a whole. This is them doing a specific task or aspect of the role. For example, you may have a person who has brilliant technical knowledge and does a great job in that area, but they are rubbish at time management. So the development topic of time management they may need coaching on, That could be motivation or it could be skill. You have to find out. So remember, it's not them as a person, it's the skill set or development area that you're focusing on. So first, think about skills. And does this person have the knowledge and the skills to do this job? So you're assessing their ability. It's good here to have an image in your head of what good looks like, and then where are they against your expectations. And you're probably exploring there what are their strengths and what are the areas they need to develop. When it comes to motivation, you're assessing that motivation. Are they enthusiastic about doing things? Are they an eager team member? What behaviours do they demonstrate that may suggest they have lower motivation? So, for example, you may have a team member who is highly motivated to work on the projects that they feel really align with what they like doing, but not when it comes to doing things that they don't like doing. But you need them to do those other tasks. So you're finding out what drives them and what motivates them. What that helps you do is prep and be ready for the coaching conversation. What it'll also help you do is work out how facilitative you need to be versus how directive. The art of coaching is to be as facilitative as possible, but sometimes there is nothing more frustrating to a coachee who doesn't know the answer because they don't yet have the skill to do something of you trying to ask questions for them to get there. So sometimes you just need to be more directive and take that moment to explain how something works if they don't have that knowledge yet. Now let's get into the coaching conversation. So I recommend using the GROW coaching framework. GROW stands for goal, reality, options, and will. Where you would ask these questions is in the reality step. So you've set the goal. Now you're exploring what is the current situation. That is the moment to find out what's going on. I'm going to run through some questions that will help bring that reality stage alive, both for skill and for will. So I'll leave them on the screen so you could screenshot them if you need them, and I'll just talk you through them. First off, skill. Are there any skills or knowledge you believe you're lacking that could help you perform in your role better? Nice big open question. Which tasks do you find more challenging and why? How comfortable do you feel with the tools and technology required for doing this task or your role? Now, the strength of this is you're digging down into areas of expertise. Have you handled a task or situation when you didn't initially have the necessary skills? This is a great one in the reality stage because it helps a person think about when they've been in that situation before and approaches they use that work for them, because people will learn best when they know how they learn and what works for them well, and not being enforced into other more alien ways of doing it. Are there any areas where you feel you have more to learn or improve? So that's questions that help you understand where they are on skill. Then there's the area that you may feel less comfortable doing, which is the motivation side. So again, the questions are: how motivated do you feel about your current tasks? What aspects of your work do you find most rewarding? What drives or motivates you in your work? What doesn't? It's a great question that you should always find out from all of your team members, that question, because that gives you opportunities to create moments of delegation that harness self-motivation. Makes a big difference. How do you maintain your motivation when facing challenging tasks? Can you describe a time when you lost motivation for a task and how you handled it? So now you're digging down to maybe when they have been in that situation before and what did they do? And then, are there any other factors that are affecting your motivation? So this gives an opportunity to move beyond work if that is the root cause of why somebody has maybe lost their mojo. A good question to always ask in a coaching conversation is the question, anything else? It offers the opportunity to find out more. Why this is particularly important on motivation is you've got to remember that this may be sensitive for the individual and they may test the water and share an initial comment, but they're seeing how you react. And if you react well, anything else gives the opportunity often for them to go more deeply into whatever it is that may be affecting them. So anything else is a real power question in coaching anyway, but particularly powerful in this stage. How to put this into action? The first thing I would do is think about your team members, think about what they're focusing on in their development at this stage, and assess them for skill and will. And if you really don't know, It tells you you've got to ask some questions of them to find out more and connect better with them. Once you've assessed them, that means on the next coaching session, it can help guide your conversation into areas that you may want to explore with that individual. And as a consequence, that will improve the quality of the conversation. Now, I mentioned earlier that the coaching framework I encourage managers to use is the GROW framework. And in this video here, I explain how to use GROW with lots of question prompts. So if this is something you're not familiar with, this is where I would go next. The real benefit of GROW is that it gives you a framework to follow, and that in turn gives you confidence in having these coaching conversations and indeed really connecting well with your team and whoever you're coaching. I use it all the time myself. It is a very robust framework and well worth as a leader mastering. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.